2. To briefly summarize the major steps leading up to Aryan civilization, the Lemurians appropriated the physical body with its 5 senses and integrated the etheric body to it as an instrument of vitalization with its system of force channels, nadis, and chakras, lesser, minor, and major. The Atlanteans appropriated the astral body and integrated it functionally with the dual-natured physical form, dense and etheric, while collectively creating the astral planes by the energy put into emotionality, desirousness, and creative imaginings. The Aryans are in the process of appropriating the mental body and integrating it into the well-established and well-consolidated physical astral equipment of the human race, but only the intelligentsia have made such real progress, and the greater bulk of the fifth root race remains Atlantean in their consciousness. In Lemurian times, which overlapped into early Atlantis, when man was little more than an animal, he lived unthinkingly, unencumbered with thought. Life was like a panorama unfolding before the eyes, and without self-awareness, he looked on and identified with the episodes and unconsciously played his part. There was no reflection or planning. He and she slept, ate, tended to survival, procreated, and reacted to pleasure and to pain. Life was filled with the fundamentals of physicalness, self-perpetuation, and self-survival, and the sacral chakra was the one most used. In Atlantean times, another experiential device was added to the soul's aspect, down in dense physicality, and the new device, called the astral body, enabled the ensouled aspect to perceive and to react far more sensitively to the immediate environs in which it lived. The experiences of the incarnate instrument were greatly expanded through the emotionality and desires of the new energy field, or body, added to the strictly physical vehicle of Lemuria. The causal body of the soul was enriched and enlarged as a consequence. For more, go to the causal body of the soul. The most active and dominant of the chakras in the etheric body of the incarnate expression was the solar plexus, or Manipura. The astral body made the Atlanteans purely emotional in all their approaches and reactions to life, and it made them governed essentially by selfish desires. It definitely made all of them extremely psychic and what we would call sensitives. Their heightened sensitivity enabled perceptivity on the etheric and astral levels, immediately above the dense physical levels, frequency-wise. And their magical propensity was a byproduct of the psychic sensitivity as mediated through the solar plexus chakra. However, these powers were the lower form, the lower cetus, as compared to the higher cetus mediated through the ajna or brow center. This condition of functioning was expected and considered normal by the guardians of the race, but the forces of darkness found a way to take advantage of the situation and disrupt the divine plan for the fourth root race, in ways that I don't fully understand, but which probably had to do with controlling and commanding the elementals on the astral planes. They stimulated and intensified the lower psychic powers of the race, and developed them to proportions that were nearly uncontrollable, thus clairvoyantly revealing the entire lower astral planes, though there was no mental comprehension of what they saw because of minimal mental activity. Evil potencies were released onto the physical levels. It was the interference by the Black Lodge that swung the astrally polarized masses over to the dark side, which focuses all its energies on serving the self at the expense of all others in the selfish quest for control and domination and power. The out-of-control avariciousness for material objects and wealth, the theft of anything they wanted, the harmfulness conducted against others, the magnification of selfish desires, and the use of black magic to accomplish all the transgressions were a direct consequence of the interventional tactics of the Lords of the Dark Face, hierarchically overseen at the physical level by a group of 12, in modern times 6 in the Orient and 6 in the Occident. This precipitated the great struggle between the White Lodge and the Dark Lodge, the former intent upon fulfilling the master plan as given out by Sanat Kumara, and the latter intent upon bringing humanity and the world's resources under its control. The Atlanteans were more malleable because of their inability to reason and discriminate, and their astral consciousness upon the plane of illusion and desire facilitated their manipulation by the sons of Belial. They were sitting ducks for the weaponry at the disposal of the initiates of the dark mysteries. They couldn't distinguish between astral and physical phenomena, and so could easily be deceived and confused by illusional thought forms and mental projections onto the astral planes. Furthermore, they were all very mediumistic and could be possessed or overshadowed in consciousness by dark ones who did not abide by the law of free will that is honored by the White Brotherhood. The struggle for the soul of humanity by the two opposing schools of adepts went on for eons, with neither side prevailing on the astral planes. and the Dark Lords of materiality having more success than failure at the physical level. To explain, the polarity of service to self are focused in effort at the material level while having centers of force on the astral and lower mental planes. The Brotherhood of Light in service to others are focused in effort at the soul level on the highest mental subplane, the causal plane, and operate from the Buddhic plane just above the mental, the planes from lower to higher, physical, astral, mental, Buddhic, atmic, monadic, and logoic. Because the White Lodge will not infringe upon free will, and must achieve their aims through their incarnate disciples and initiates, the Black Lodge only appears to have more power in physicality, because the numbers of the self-serving masses are far, far greater, and their black arts are directed at the control of elementals and lesser devas upon the astral and physical levels. Above the lower mental, their power is contained, and the greater devas do not work with them. The forces of light have power on the higher planes of existence and work through their affiliate members incarnate to oppose the dark agenda on the 3 lower levels. The civilization was brought to a close in a sequence of cataclysmic geological events due to the impact of the war on planet Earth, her nature kingdoms, the Deva evolution, and the temporarily thwarted purpose of the planetary logos, the Silent Watcher. The mental development of the 5th root race would provide a better understanding of the agenda of the Black Magicians. 3. A mantram or mantric form is a collection of words, phrases, and sounds delivered rhythmically to achieve results which appear to defy the laws of physics, because sound has a power that is unknown to the uninitiated. The initiate White Brotherhood is custodian to these sounds and mantrams, revealing them at initiation in a stepwise fashion as the ladder of initiation is ascended. Only the tested and the worthy may be entrusted with the knowledge of these words of power, though it should be said that the Dark Brotherhood have their own schools of the mysteries and their own mantrams. The first language developed during early Atlantean times is called Sensa, or Senzar, which became the language of the initiates all over the world from then until now, written as hieroglyphic cipher. Sanskrit has its origins in Senzar. There are mantrams in the original Sensa brought by the Lords of the Flame from Venus 18 million years ago that are the most powerful on the planet. They number 35, one for each of the 7 subplanes of the 5 planes of human evolution: physical, astral, mental, Buddhic, and atmic, each being a key to unlock the mysteries of some one subplane. Some of the forms in ancient Sanskrit have very powerful effects. These mantrams are usually chanted in unison while involved in ritual and ceremony, but many are used by the individual white or black magician in creative work, as well as destructive. Before giving the reason why I bring up the power of sound, when properly applied, I want to demonstrate the breadth of its application and give some examples. There's a mantram in Sanskrit for calling the attention of one's master, which isn't revealed until the 3rd initiation, the soul merge. There's a mantram for each one of the 7 rays that links the caller with the higher self, the whole soul group, and also with the master on that ray, the teacher of the soul. There are sound formulas for developing certain psychic faculties, for vivifying a chakra, for use in healing, and for raising the kundalini fire, dangerous if used frivolously and not in the right manner. There are mantrams sounded unitedly for the purification of a city, the magnetization of grounds to become a healing center, the healing of a gathered people, the controlling of the forces of nature, and clarification of minds in a congregation seeking illumination. Specific mantrams work on the mental plane, increasing the capacity to think, and in fact, this category of secret sounds was used by the Lords of the Flame to implant the spark of mind in the animal man before they could become individualized and ensouled, and the newly nascent human evolution. With reference to the Atlantean race, there are mantric forms for summoning the elementals for each of the 4 known elements: earth, water, air, and fire. These are the essence of things in their 4 grades in this solar system, and they are on the involutional downward arc, spirit into matter, whereas the devas are on the evolutionary arc, matter into spirit. The elementals work blindly and obediently, for they are commanded and controlled by rightly given and enunciated sounds of power. If the purpose is selfish, they are directly commanded in so many words. If the purpose is selfless and for the good of all, they are indirectly controlled by summoning the higher devas, who then cooperate with the ceremonial magician in commanding the elementals to the task at hand, which is the safer way to do it. All the Atlanteans knew how to work with the elementals for their nefarious, self-serving purposes, because the disciples of the temples who had turned bad and been excommunicated had leaked the secret sounds and mantrams out over the millennia. Plus, the black magicians had spread the techniques of their sorcery throughout the vast land to draw the unknowing and unthinking masses onto the left-hand path of serving and satisfying the self. It was the elementals and the lesser-grade divas that they worked with, and not the greater diva builders of form. And the fire elementals were most commonly incorporated into their vengeful, destructive schemes. For more, click on Angels, Elementals, and Creation. They were harnessed by ceremonial rites and the use of words of power commonly known. There was the initial rite of protection for the caller, absolutely essential when dealing with elemental forces. Then the rite of appeal and summoning. Then the right to control and direct them by way of a visualized thought form, use of the will, and third ray energy, see the third ray. Finally, there was the rite of dismissal, all these rites having their own mantrams of power. The Dark Brotherhood, to which most Atlanteans were aligned wittingly or unwittingly, bends the involutionary forces of elementals and lesser divas to its will. The White Brotherhood solicits the cooperation of the greater divas, who then command the elementals and lesser divas to the endeavor. It takes more than simply chanting mantrams to call the higher builders of form, and that is one of the secrets of initiation. Furthermore, the second ray energy of love is necessary to reach them, and they only respond to those with purity of character, nobility of soul, and unselfish motives. Thus it becomes obvious why the forces of evil must work with the elementals, and equally obvious why the activity and power of the Dark Ones is confined to the lower planes of existence where may be found those elementals: physical, astral, and lower mental. In passing, a brief word on the greater divas may be helpful. These lives are to be found in all grades and on all levels of the solar system, and they work willingly with the constructive forces of light. There are divas equal in development to a 5th degree ascended master, and there are diva lords of the 5 planes of human evolution who are equal to the 7th degree great lords of Earth's hierarchy: the Manu, the Bodhisattva, the Mahachohan. And there are the lesser building divas who unconsciously do the bidding of higher divas. The guidance flows down the line from higher to lower. Only when an initiate approaches the 4th degree of adeptship, the renunciation, and achieves mastery over himself will the secrets and powers be given for working with the higher ranks of divas. The higher the initiation, the more powerful the divas to be contacted by words of power given to the initiate by the Hierophant of the initiation. Please see what initiation is really about. The widespread and frequent use by the Atlanteans of the magical rites and sounds for directing the elementals to fulfill their own selfish desires and vengeful acts led to dire consequences and menace stalking the land. The evolutions of both men and divas were threatened, as was the logoic plan for Earth, and the guiding hierarchy deemed it necessary to withdraw all such knowledge gradually from the human consciousness until such time as the spiritual mind was awakening, reason and discrimination were secured, and love was beginning to be expressed. The 7th ray of ceremonial magic in the new Aquarian age will facilitate the approximation of the 2 great evolutions, and it is expected that certain lesser mantric forms will be given out once again to the worthy and true at heart. Refer to the 7th ray.